Wow.
Hearing that song now, you got to ask.
It totally relates.
Is that Michael Jackson?
No.
You don't think it's Michael Jackson?
No, but I just told you before we got on, like, I wonder did the guy ever catch any shit for like trying to sound like Michael Jackson?
But doesn't that song really relate to what we're about to
It's
talk
almost
about?
It's almost like a super duper like 99-cent store thriller. Anyway, welcome back, you cine folks, you crazy folks, you back to the Classics, the cinematic movie podcast that takes you back to the iconic films of 20 years ago. I am your guy, Jay Alonso. With me, as always, is
Danger Neff. What's going on, Jay?
What's going on? I thought you could ask yourself, how you doing?
How am I? I don't know. How am I doing? I'm doing great. How are you
doing? So you're playing that song, and so we figured we can have a very small debate. Rockwell's not Michael Jackson.
No, it's fine, But that dance theme, it kind of reminds me of what happened after Thanksgiving. To pick up like this Just Dance video game. Now, Jay, I'm not the skinniest guy you've ever seen.
Right. Oh, and for the record, for those who follow us on Instagram, I did visit Dave and his family on Thanksgiving, and it was a fantastic time.
He had some good ass ribs. Thank you for the invite,
sir.
He had some good ass ribs.
His pops made some good ass ribs, like good, like as if I went to like an Applebee's.
Right.
That's what I got. Like
you just compare Applebee's ribs.
I mean, not saying like
that is insulting.
I'm not saying your dad is Applebee's.
You are talking
ribs,
about my father here,
but he has that restaurant quality ribs.
Now that I can appreciate.
Yeah, fuck Applebee's, but I was like,
I like how you thought restaurant quality, but it's not fine dining quality ribs. I wouldn't really say that it's like Chili's baby back ribs. I would probably put it right at Applebee's.
No. Shout out to Dave's pops. He actually he kept saying like, "Listen, try my ribs, man. You like my ribs?" I said, "Okay, cool." And then I had a rib. I said, "Hey, shit, these ribs are good." So I got two more.
Now, that was the problem with...
And Dave sent me home with a Ziploc bag full of it.
I sure did. Now, that was the problem with the SNL T'Challa skit when they made it seem like white people don't season their food. Well, we just proved him wrong.
Yeah.
Well, at least my family
But you don't
did.
fully count because isn't mom... mom is no, she's not.
She's Spanish.
She's Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay. Your mom's lovely, by the way. She's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And so that kind of disqualifies you. You're not fully white.
Well, I'm of European descent.
Very true, but you seasoned.
But that's the...
seasoned.
I'm seasoned. So wait, so how white do you have to be considered like white?
Maine.
Stephen King, we're coming for you.
We're like born in Maine, Vermont. Well, anyway, welcome back to another episode. How's the week been, man?
It was great. After Thanksgiving, I kind of sweat my ass off on this game. And what I was saying was like this game, I have like a whole PlayStation setup and whatnot. And what was nuts about it was this was right after Thanksgiving dinner. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the most athletic guy in the world. And for whatever reason, this game records you. So I have recordings of me being the most athletic version of myself that I can. Mm-hmm. And I would tell you right now, I would be a fucking YouTube sensation right now. If you saw me trying to belly shake what I got going on here. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
All that man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, my hips don't lie.
All right. So, how
about you? How was your week?
You know what? I can't complain. It was a pretty,
You've been working a lot.
But it's been cool. Not too much to really worry about. Feeling pretty good. My dog's actually in the front room of the studio today.
That's right.
So, shout out to China in the front.
She is adorable. I will say that.
Appreciate that. So we got some movie news to discuss.
Unfortunately, it's not sad news. It's kind of grateful.
It's more of a farewell.
It is.
But it's a very humbling, definitely well-deserved, definitely good timing.
That's right. I agree.
Sylvester Stallone has officially retired the character Rocky.
That's right.
So what does that mean? We have no more Creeds coming? Well, what does that mean?
I'll tell you what. Let me read his statement because this is in a heartfelt video that was posted on Instagram. Well, this is probably my last rodeo because I thought Rocky was over in 2006, and I was very happy with that. And then all of a sudden, motioning off screen to Michael B. Jordan, this young man presented himself, and the whole story changed and went on to a new generation, new problems, new adventures. And I couldn't be happier because as I step back, as my story has been told, there's a whole new world that's going to be opening up for the audience for this generation. In the post caption, Stallone wrote, I just want to thank everyone around the whole wide world for taking the Rocky family into their hearts for over 40 years. It's been my ultimate privilege to have been able to create and play this meaningful character. Though it breaks my heart, sadly, all things must pass and end. I love you, kind and generous people, and the most wonderful thing of all is that Rocky will never die because he lives on in you. He created this character in 1976 and undoubtedly not only changed his whole life and career, but really changed the way that it really kind of grew this American spirit within us. In fact, in Rocky II, they played Eye of the Tiger, obviously. And on that same record, there's also a song called American Heartbeat by Survivor. Mm-hmm. I gotta tell you, like that's exactly the type of emotion that Rocky drew out of all of us. In a lot of sense, he was exactly everything we wanted to be. A kind of a person who was just trying to get by. Next thing you know, gets his one shot in the world and becomes probably the greatest sports character ever created in film industry.
I think we can actually say that with confidence. Like Rocky is probably one of the best sports, if not the best sports character we've ever had in American cinema. With that being said, I definitely respected Stallone's comments. It felt like it came from a genuine place. It felt like if there was ever a time to go ahead and say, farewell to the Italian stallion, it will be now.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that if this means that after Creed 2, the Rocky franchise, Creed franchise as a whole is done, I can accept that as well.
Unfortunately, you're right. Like, we saw Creed 2, mm-hmm. and I'll say this. For a sequel, it's exactly what I wanted it to be. Creed 1 was definitely better. Mm-hmm. But Creed 2 does a lot of really awesome and sweet things that makes us connect a little bit with them. But at the same time, it almost felt like they wanted to end the Rocky franchise by the end of it.
Right.
Like, there was, in every sense of the word, like, I don't really care for another Creed 3 because I thought Creed 2 was a perfect way to end the series.
And it's funny you bring that up because it's actually one of the reoccurring vibes I've been hearing about Creed 2. Those getting great praise. It ties up a lot.
It does.
Most people who have seen the movie have saying, like, listen, I thought it was great. It's the perfect time to, like, really, truly wrap it up.
Right. And the thing is that if I'm Michael B. Jordan, like, to be honest, this is a really awesome opportunity for it to actually wrap up. I know that sounds weird because obviously we're congratulating Stallone on literally building a legacy of a character over the course of 8 movies. Mm. I mean, people love Stallone so much in boxing movies. Not only has he been in boxing documentaries, but they even made another boxing movie as Stallone playing another boxer that has nothing to do with the Rocky franchise. And I'm talking about Grudge Match. Underrated. But that's what I'm saying. I'll put it this way. If Stallone decides to hang up literally his gloves in acting also, I really want to salute him also because he's stepped up to the role. Do you realize in Cliffhanger, he was already in his 50s.
Yeah.
He was already in his 50s at that point, and he looks stunning.
And think about it. Think about all of the iconic characters or just the iconic films he's given us in this amount of time he's been around.
Rambo.
We're talking about Rambo and all of those. We're talking movies that are often slept on, like Daylight or Get Carter.
Right.
Or
Tango and Cash.
Assassins.
Over the Top.
Over the Top
is ridiculously stupid. But it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, like Throw Mama from the Train.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh, wait. That's a complete wrong movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, people out there.
It's
Sorry.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Sorry, my mom will shoot. There we go.
Plus, how many times? And then the Expendables franchise. You know, for
he's
even
franchise king.
Yeah, and ever since he's had like 3
Demolition Man, Dave.
Yeah,
Demolition Man, which is one of my all-time favorite Stallone movies. I mean, really, you remember the ongoing battle between who's better, Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
In terms of franchises, it's going to go to Stallone.
It has to go to Stallone.
Because even though Terminator has, that's it, even though Schwarzenegger has Terminator, like he never really had that second great role in terms of defining a character otherwise. Mm-hmm. But to Sylvester Stallone, if you just so happen to be listening to this podcast, we want to thank you for all the wonderful years that you've given us, all the fantastic memories. I still play Going the Distance from Rocky in my fucking workout videos, you know, the ones that I'm apparently dancing around into now. Right. It's been an absolutely amazing ride. And I personally want to thank you for the one time that I actually met you. You showed me a lot of great courtesy.
You met Sly?
I did, yeah.
Oh, man.
I met Sly when I was still working at Bellagio. Met him and his family, and he was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I heard he's really cool to talk to.
Really is. Really, really nice, genuine guy. You could tell that he knows he's famous, but at the same time, he can appreciate everybody that's kind of built up that fame for him.
Right.
You know?
So, I want to echo those same statements. I want to thank Stallone for creating these iconic characters. And not just Rocky. I mean, like all of his characters from, like I said, Daylight, Rambo. We're talking hell, even the bad guy in Spy Kids.
Yeah,
you know he can stretch it. He just stretches it out. You know? But I absolutely love the fact that an actor of that age can be around so long and to really see the success he's seen in various decades. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So for that, I take my hat up to him. Definitely a farewell to the iconic character of Rocky Balboa.
Oh, I know. That's gonna be so hard not to, especially because he's like been reintroduced in our lives so often now. Mm-hmm. You know, that it's tough. Do you have a ranking for your favorite Rocky movies?
Now, are we including Creed?
Yes.
Okay,
no,
so,
I'm including all of them.
Okay, so I would say Rocky 2 was my favorite.
Really?
Yes. Rocky 2 is my favorite. Behind Rocky 2 is Creed 1.
Okay.
And then my top 3, right?
Whichever. You can rank all the movies. There's 8 of them.
Oh, that's no, I can't do that. I don't remember Rocky 4, but or Rocky 5 for that matter either. But as far as the ones that I've always gone back to, Rocky 2, Creed, and Rocky Balboa.
The 2006 version
doesn't get a lot of love, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's fair.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm going to go Rocky as my number 1 because that movie is stunning. My problem with Rocky 2, honestly, is that Rocky 1, he isn't necessarily an idiot. He's just slow. And Rocky 2, they make him into an idiot. He's kind of, in a sense, he's kind of charming. Yeah, well. All right, so Rocky.
I punch me.
So Rocky, I'm going to say Creed.
Okay.
And then it's going to go Rocky 3. Then it's probably 4 and Creed 2, Balboa, Rocky 2, Rocky 5.
Isn't Rocky 3 Clubber Lang?
Clubber Lang.
Yes, that's right. Mr. T. Peter the Fool.
And Hulk Hogan.
That's true. Absolutely.
That was like the most entertaining fight. With good old Thunder Lips.
So, now we're getting to, oh no, I'm going way too fast. We got to talk about some Oscar stuff.
Yeah, let's talk some Oscars.
We're definitely we're gonna have an Oscar show. Don't worry about it. We will have an Oscar show. We just figure we're now getting to the point to where we're definitely already now into Oscar season.
Yeah.
As far as what we need to look out for, who's front running. So me and Dave thought it'd be a good idea to have a little powwow, if you will. And we'll just spitball some quick front runners that we think are front runners out there. So you start off. I'll start off with I'll do my best director.
Okay.
and then you hit me with yours, and you'll shoot yours back. You shoot the category back to me. We'll go like that. All right,
That's fair.
now, real quick, I'm gonna say, as of now, front runner for best director is Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
It's incredibly difficult to describe the emotion that movie gets out of you. It's a very personal story for some people, and it's tough. It's tough, but I think they're going to argo it a little bit.
You think so?
Yeah, where maybe he doesn't get a nomination for Best Actor and instead gets the nomination for Best Director.
Which I'm still fine with.
I'm fine with it also.
But I watching the movie, I watched it last night. Funny thing about it, watching it, I was looking at it and I noticed the flair he has for great angles.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And as a first time director, I'm like, yo, Cooper's got it. Like
It's not first time director.
No, this is his
Really?
debut. Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
definitely debut. But for his debut, I mean, you got it, dude. Like it's certain scenes in A Star Is Born that literally, from an angle of how the scene is taking place, pulls the emotion directly out of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, no spoilers, but there's a quick thing with Sam Elliott and Bradley Cooper in a car, and it's a simple look at. It's a look away from the screen. It's look toward the screen as Sam Elliott's backing up in this truck, and there's no words being spoken, but God damn it, you know exactly what he's feeling.
Oh man.
And it is without a.
Why are you walking me down this road again?
Without a doubt, like, oh, this is great. This is great. So yes, for me, front runner definitely Bradley Cooper, Star Is Born.
All right. Best actor. Best actor for me is, if they are going to argo this, which I think they will, I think a very strong front runner is going to go to Viggo Mortensen for The Green Book.
For best actor?
For best actor.
Whoa.
For best actor. There was controversy, obviously, leading up to this role, mainly because
He dropped the N-bomb.
yeah, and he apologized for it, and it was in poor taste. Obviously, I know he was trying to get a point across. It just felt out of play. It hurt his message, basically, right? In this case, though, in a lot of senses, you know how Ralph Fiennes is like in Grand Budapest Hotel.
I love him.
I love that movie too, but that movie, in my opinion, that brought out the best out of Ralph Fiennes, and I feel like with Green Book, it brings out the best out of Viggo.
Okay,
because it takes him out of the comfort zone that we're used to seeing him. Think of it this way: we're used to seeing Viggo as Aragorn. We're used to seeing him as a leader. We're used to seeing him as somebody that's not necessarily awkward or that feels out of place.
Right.
Like you see Viggo Mortensen in a Western and he looks natural in it. In this movie, he doesn't look natural in it, but he's getting rave reviews for what he's doing.
Okay, I'll give you that. I haven't seen Green Book yet, but I do have plans on checking it out. I'm going to say my front runner for best actor is going to be Michael B. Jordan for Creed 2. The reason why I say that is because I feel like it's more emotions being pulled out of him in this movie than it was for the first one, because he's facing more as far as the baby and avenging his father's death, and then as far as taking on this newfound fame and dealing with this girl, and it's a lot going on to where the emotional plug is really going for him. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest, like even though I appreciate his character more in Creed 1 than I did in Creed 2.
Really?
Because I felt like he had more to play with. In this one, it was really a centralized role on top of him. And in my opinion, he already had a better acting performance already by playing Killmonger in Black Panther.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if we're going to throw him up for nomination.
And you know what? I'll wait. Go ahead. Sorry.
And if we're going to throw him up for nomination, do you throw him up for Killmonger, which everybody remembers, or in Creed 2, where even in the original Creed, he didn't get a nomination for it. And I thought he did a better job in that one.
Okay.
It's going to be tough. But I mean, I like the pick. I just don't see it.
Well, since we're there, best supporting actor.
Okay.
For me, I'm gonna throw Michael B back in that race again.
Okay.
For Killmonger and Black Panther. God, that was a great performance. And I mean, you never seen a bad guy outside of Loki or maybe Michael Keaton's character in Spider-Man. Well, hold on, I'm getting it. Michael B as Killmonger displayed such a versatility between you don't know whether you want to root for this guy or you can't wait to see him fall.
Okay.
And just the way he brought that character out, you're forced to, you yourself have to deal with this as far as like, do I like him or do I fucking hate him? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that, his performance brought that out of me at least. Now, Michael B is one. I actually have a three headed front runner.
Well,
Sorry.
You can't do that.
I can't do that, but I'm going to. Whatever.
You got to throw me a bone here.
I'm going to throw you a bone. But
Right.
so I'm going to say Michael B for Black Panther. I'll just do two. Michael B for Black Panther. And if they decide to honor what is Josh Brolin? What, is it not CGI?
Yeah.
It was CGI.
Yeah.
CGI Josh Brolin as Thanos for best supporting actor.
See, and the thing is that they've never really given it to CGI character because if they did, then immediately I'm going to start crying foul for not throwing in
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Andy Serkis. Because Andy Serkis as Caesar is one of the most amazing roles I've ever seen.
Right.
That computer monkey made me feel more than some acting performances I've seen ever.
Oh,
he was a computer.
That was a computer.
Supporting actor, this one's easy for me. It's Sam Elliott.
I knew you were going with Elliott.
Okay, but there's a reason why. As much as Gaga and Cooper, and Gaga, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and throw a spoiler so we can move this a little bit faster, is getting my Best Actress Award. And then Regina King for Bill Stricker Talk is getting my Best Supporting Actress.
Seen it?
No, but I've seen more than enough to kind of make my decision on her already. But for Sam Elliott, it's pretty simple for me. Sam Elliott drives a lot of the great emotion in this. And to be honest, he actually starts outperforming Bradley in terms of some of the scenes that they interact with each other. You could tell that Bradley actually has to keep up with Sam in some of these roles, and it just he kills it.
I agree.
He
I definitely
it.
agree. Like I've always saw Sam Elliott as the old Western dude
Of
with
course,
the
and you
great
hear
mustache.
the voice, and that's it. But it's like in this role, it changes right before me.
Right.
All of a sudden, he's pulling more emotion in this movie than I ever felt for the other two characters. And mind you, those other two characters are phenomenal. But every time Sam Elliott was on the screen, I couldn't keep my eyes off of him.
I sold the fucking ranch.
Stole my fucking voice.
Fucking voice. All right, go ahead, hit me.
All right, go ahead. Best supporting actor. Oh, wait, we already did that. Best actress.
Best actress. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to give it to Gaga.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm like really. I saw Gaga on American Horror Story. I thought she was great, but you really get a chance to see her strip down all the antics, and she just be a regular chick with a heartwarming yet tragic, just following her dreams, but then gets caught up with the singer who has his problems and how she deals with that. And I'm telling you, I've only seen this A Star Is Born and Streisand Christopherson Star Is Born. This is easily the better one.
Yeah.
Easily the better one.
Especially how they changed the ending. Oh, that ending!
Oh God, the ending.
All right. I want to give special shout outs real quick to Black Klansman. There is a very strong chance that could really scoop up some awards.
Most definitely.
Especially with the acting performances from
John David Washington
and Driver and Adam.
Definitely
Driver.
Adam Driver. Mm-hmm.
Adam Driver is probably, in my eyes, the biggest And mind you, there's still more movies I need to catch. Mahershala Ali is probably going to be in that conversation. Green Book, obviously. Yep. Mm-hmm. Adam Driver could really be a dark horse to kind of shake things up, but we're going to have to wait and see.
I also want to count out Timothy Chalamet for A Beautiful Boy.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I caught the movie about a couple of days ago. It's pretty good, actually.
Is it?
Oh yeah. Now, where are we with this? Let's talk about so best actor. All right, we
did best actor. Best supporting actress would be the
best supporting actress.
The only one.
And then best picture.
You can talk best picture. You want to do best picture?
Oh yeah, I have best picture. Best actress. For me,
Best supporting actress.
We've done it already. Best supporting actress. I'm sorry. I do not know. That's a tough one. I'm not too sure. I would love to say Regina King and Beale Street. I haven't seen Beale Street yet,
right?
But I do know she's getting crazy buzz about Beale Street.
She may be the early front runner for now,
right? Right.
Unfortunately, when it comes to Oscar season,
I would love to say Tessa Thompson for Creed too as well.
Okay. I actually think if they would go Tessa in any role, I would actually really, at least for a Golden Globe, sorry to bother you.
Yeah, definitely.
Because she kind of drives that a little bit also.
Yeah, right.
Mind you, that's on Hulu right now. Hit us back on that. Let us know what you think, because we got some crazy opinions about that one.
I rewatched it the other day. I'm like, this movie is fucking crazy. I still don't get it. I got it, but it's like,
All right. So let's get to the movie at hand.
Well, best picture.
All right, best picture.
What you got?
It's kind of hard not to give it to A Star Is Born. But you know what? I'm going to throw out the one that's not going to get it, but
everybody wants to get it,
but should be a strong consideration.
You're going to take it. You're going to take it. Go ahead.
It's going to be Avengers: Infinity War.
No, not in the same boat. I'm going to say Black Panther,
and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Neither one of those two are going to win Best Picture, but they were both fucking fantastic films. And
speaking of which, did we get the trailer today?
No.
There was worse that the trailer would drop today.
Nope.
Bastards.
I know. Because that was one thing I was banking on today. I was like, all right, they're going to drop the Avengers trailer, and then we're going to talk about Stallone, and then we're going to have a great show. Nope. You all had to hear about my workout story.
Yep. And it's all right. Well, let's get Oscars are what? February.
It's like after the Super Bowl.
Gotcha. All right. Who's hosting this year?
I don't think they have announced yet.
Oh, okay. All right. It's probably like Killing or some shit like how they always do.
It's going to be a white guy, probably.
It's going to be a white guy. All right, so let's get to the movie topic today. We have been kind of giddy for this one. Once we knew it was next on the schedule, this movie is criminally underrated.
Yeah,
I mean, criminally underrated.
I don't want to say there wasn't any hype for this. There was some people watched it and made their own opinions about it. Mm. And I feel like 20 years later, the movie has gotten that much better.
And it just holds up so well.
It really does.
If you don't know what movie we're talking about, we are going to skip 2 minutes drill today. If you don't know what movie we're talking about, we're taking it back to the Will Smith, Gene Hackman, the late, great Tony Scott directing with Jerry Bruckheimer producing Enemy of the States.
Now, this is one of the most divulging stories that almost feels like a spiritual sequel to the 1974 Best Picture nominee, The Conversation. Think about it. We don't really, without spoiling too much to start off with, we don't get Gene Hackman's character until an hour into the movie.
Right.
And not only that, but he's kind of playing the same exact role. And I'm going to tell you some comparisons throughout this entire thing that's going to make you kind of feel like that this actually really could be the sequel.
Well, original release date, November 20th of 1998, shares opening weekend with the Rugrats movie and Waking Ned. Production budget of $90 million with a box office total of $250.6 million.
What's that Rotten Tomatoes?
71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I still feel like that's a little low.
Oh.
It's not. Look, I'm telling you, it holds up really, really. Look, when I think of like a 70% movie, like this is a movie that I could throw on every once in a blue moon. But this movie has really kind of tied me back into what I really appreciated about this.
Right. Now, the first thing rewatching it, you notice is Jack Black, Barry Pepper, Seth Green, Jon Voight, Will Smith, Gabriel Byrne, Lisa Bonet,
Tom Sizemore.
What the hell? Who casted this movie?
It would have been the legendary Tony Scott.
I was like,
Tony Scott just
Jesus
knew
Christ.
talent when he saw it. You know, and may he rest in peace.
Jason Lee.
Yeah, Jason Lee's in it also.
Oh my God.
The Anna Gunn.
Anna Gunn's in this.
That's right.
I was taken back. I couldn't.
And obviously Regina is also
Regina King.
And Regina King. Now that we are mentioning her for Best Supporting Actress, like she had a really awesome role in this movie for being the kind of the whistleblower just a little bit.
The wife character.
Right, of course. Yeah. Now, ever since the George Orwell classic, 1984, the idea of big government spying on its own citizens, this idea has kind of gone further with like denying a bank account access or knowing where we are or making a call on a payphone, making everybody really suspicious. So it's kind of funny that this movie came out in 1998, and now 20 years later, we had the Edward Snowden case that happened with proof that the NSA has actually been spying on us this entire time. Mm-hmm. So to kind of get that idea of this initially happening, the fact that they're calling it out, that's the NSA. The fact that some of the techniques that they're actually using in the film was probably still being used against us. Now I watched Snowden, and there's definitely a message of trying to be pro Snowden with it, but there is some truth to it as well. Like in all fairness, people want to feel their privacy. People want to feel that, and it's even worse nowadays with social media, but people want to feel like they can share certain information without it really getting out there. And that was the message that this movie was trying to convey. That the bottom line is that with or without your knowledge, you're being watched.
Exactly. Now, I love how this movie opens. This movie opens with just terror, really. And it goes to show just how evil some government officials can be. And when this Jon Voight as a bad guy is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he really, he made a name for himself.
Calm or he's fucking insane.
Well, this is like right in that ballpark range when like Varsity Blues also came out. Mm-hmm. Remember how much of a fucking asshole he was in that? Which, by the way, that's coming around the corner also.
A year since Anaconda as well.
Yeah, so it's insane to see how well he plays that bad guy role. And how could he create Angelina Jolie? His ass is fucking ugly. Oh my God.
When they said in the movie, he's a guy with a serious vitamin D,
Yeah, he's got a vitamin something deficiency.
Anyway, but the movie opens with
the Jerry Bruckheimer son.
First of all, the Jerry Bruckheimer car road sun lightning thing
super,
is iconic to me.
Right. It's super orange. The backdrop is always super orange, casting a shadow over.
But you in for us with some dope shit. Gone in 60 Seconds, Bad Boys. I love almost every Jerry Bruckheimer movie.
Armageddon.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Well, we got Pearl Harbor. Yeah.
Now there is a small difference with this movie that before we really get into it, that is very different compared to all those movies. Mm. All those movies start out big and then they go small. This movie is clever to actually start out small. Just something small happens and then it turns into a big thing.
I feel like it kind of just, it takes you by surprise. And it's, in a way, it's kind of big. And then it winds itself back down and let it build its way back up again. Because when we see the congressman get killed, almost what we know is getting ready to happen.
Right.
Because the way that voice talking to him, he got his bodyguards kind of just surrounding like, dude, this is going to go bad. I can just feel it.
Right. So this movie basically opens up with the idea of what would later truly become the Patriot Act, which is a bill that basically allows more flexibility for the government to actually look into your own items, whether it's whether it's having cameras on you or whatnot. It's a pretty vague bill, and similar to how the Patriot Act basically works in terms of how much surveillance it can give to their own citizens. And this opposing Republican congressman is trying to get convinced otherwise, and what winds up happening is he's obviously killed. It's a very small scene. Nothing overly drastic happens. They try to make it seem like it was a suicide, and it kind of goes from there.
I think they make it seem like it's a heart attack.
They do, right. They kind of throw like pills in there, and because he was recently had like a bypass surgery or something like that, so on and so forth.
Now, for me, what makes this movie incredibly clever, it really kicks the shit off. Coming right in the trailer, you see Jason Lee running through the city, bumps into Will Smith. Help me, man. He just takes off. Like, okay. Now, when it's discovered that he's a wildlife photographer and has the camera pointed exactly at the exact location of where the congressman's being killed, and has the tape, and they're coming to get him, so he runs off, bumps into Will Smith. I love how it just comes together.
Right. Now, leading up to that, though, we have to talk a little bit about Will Smith's character, because Will Smith is obviously a successful lawyer. Who's known to kind of going after kind of the biggest, toughest bad guys. Now, Tom Sizemore, who is not credited in this movie
at all,
which is weird because he has a very big role in this movie.
Nope, and there's a reason why. Because this is around the time when the flight situation was happening.
That's fair.
Yep.
So Tom Sizemore plays Paulie Pintero,
and he does have a very sizable role in this movie as well.
Right. He's a mob boss, and there's basically a tape that's out there that's talking about what was the activity? What was it? It was something against witnesses, right?
Witness tampering and all that. But part of his parole, he wasn't supposed to be around any union officials,
right? And clearly on this tape he was, and just so happens that Will Smith has a copy of this tape. Now this is very key for this movie, the word tape. So we're gonna circle back to that towards the end as we continue forward. So obviously there's been a filming. Jason Lee goes and he secretly drops his tape into Will Smith's bag, and Will Smith is unknowing about it. Right. Will Smith also has a relationship and an affair at one point with Lisa Bonet. And Lisa Bonet just looks fantastic.
Delicious.
She really does. That, you know what? She never gets a credit that she does.
Nah, but Lenny Kravitz, whatever.
Right. What? Is she still married to Lenny? Or is she with Jason Momoa now?
She's with Momoa now.
Man.
But her and Kravitz had a thing now for sure.
I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And it is Kravitz, so. Yeah. Kravitz.
Okay, yeah, Kravitz.
So anyway, he has this relationship with Rachel Baines, which is her name, and she's basically able to give and get information by her employer that only goes by the name Brill. Okay, and in this process of what winds up happening is that this kind of like backdrop of the NSA at this point, they're coming up with all sorts of schemes and plans of like, okay, who is this person? What do we know about this person? And my future is in the hands of this person who may or may not be willingly holding this tape. Okay. And they decide to go against the grain and basically kind of go after him because of it.
Right.
So everything goes to shit for him.
Quickly.
And badly. Credit cards are denied. A picture of him hanging out with Rachel Baines is sent to his wife when they had gone through a year of counseling. So she kicks him out.
Yep.
Right. So she kicks him out of the house.
Loses his job.
Mm-hmm. And mind you, he has one of my favorite lines in the movie where during the process of this, they say, "What's your relationship with Rachel Baines?" Right. And he goes, "Let me ask you something. When you're alone, do you have any homosexual tendencies?
You ever beat off in the shower?
They're like, and they try to answer, and he goes, "That's right. It's none of my fucking business." And it's like, when I heard that, I was at work, and I was like, fuck yeah, man.
Like, yeah.
It's none of your fucking business.
I don't give a shit. It's about their own business.
So anyway, everything goes to shit for him.
I love how I love that line as well. It's a great line.
It really is.
None of my fucking business. You're dead right, it's not.
So he has to contact Rachel because it's the only way that he has to figure out what the hell is going on.
Right.
Right. And he has to figure out a way on how to contact Brill. Now, this is one of those clever things in this movie that Tony Scott really picked up on. The signal to give off to Brill is putting a chalk mark on the USPS mailbox outside in front of him. That is actually from a real life thing. Mm. We had this traitor to this country. His name is Aldrich Ames. And he used to make the same marking to Soviets as he was making drops of information, to them. And that's what was used to basically signal to the Soviets that a drop has been made. Mm. And the Soviets could basically use that information against us later. So that small little sequence, even though it's so simple, they really did their research on this film to figure out what was small and unique techniques that spies or misinformation or how can you let somebody know what you're doing, and they do this quite a bit in this movie. For example, when you actually do meet Brill, he never looks up at the camera.
Correct.
He's paying everything in cash. He's, everything about him is just little subtle things. They're recognizing that nobody can pinpoint this fucker at all.
But he knows what the fuck is up.
Absolutely.
He knows exactly what's up.
So Smith goes onto this ferry. And on this ferry, he is met by another associate, who basically isn't, who could be part of the NSA. I can't really determine. It's Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne's character, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, just little small things. They find like one of his trackers and whatnot. And it kind of goes to find out that maybe this was all a setup.
Right.
He escapes out of there and he winds up meeting Brill in a very hostile manner, by the way.
Yes.
Go on.
So when he meets Brill on the elevator, and I love this part because we first see Gene Hackman as Brill. And him and Will Smith lock eyes. He very subtly mouths the words "fuck you"
right
to Will Smith's character.
Oh yeah,
and so obviously that kind of like, hey, no, fuck you. I'm approach you about it now. And so when they meet in the elevator, and he immediately pulls a gun on him and says, get on the fucking elevator. And then we know that that's definitely the bro we need to be talking to, right? And they have this weird, really hostile. Informative, but hostile exchange.
Oh, absolutely.
On the elevator, and then they take it to the roof because Brill knows if you take him to the roof around the satellites, it's gonna scramble their
trackers.
Their trackers.
Right.
So basically, while he's there, lets know what's going on. He said, "Listen, they're following you for a reason. You have something they want." And he goes, "I don't have anything. Like maybe you have, you just don't know it." You know what I'm saying? And so we're now getting to the point to where Will Smith, Bobby Dean now knows exactly what's going on. They're chasing you because they think you have something.
Right.
That you don't even know that you have.
Right.
Right? And so going back to Regina King now, when he makes his way back to the house.
Right. After a fucking phenomenal chase scene.
After a great chase scene.
I mean, this chase scene goes through a hotel. He's leaping down balconies. He's in his boxers, right? He winds up he winds up going through several different tunnels. And even then, even after the first misdirection, I was like, oh, okay, it's over. It kept going because these guys were that effective. Technically, these guys were really incredibly effective.
Right.
And he finds a way to finally escape. Mm-hmm. Right. And goes back into the garage where he's waiting because now he recognizes that very likely he's being watched. Very likely his house is bugged because there was a house break-in earlier in the film where everything was basically bugged in doing so. And he has this conversation with Regina King.
Now with that conversation, now early in the movie, obviously, like you would expect a wife who's gone through what she's gone through as far as the counseling, and her husband had an affair. When she sent the pictures of her, and when she sent the picture of Robert and Rachel, obviously she reacts as if you cheated again. You're
of course,
cheating, which is logical.
Yeah, actually, there was a lot of logic to it.
Yeah,
he did have an affair. Again, good writing. Good writing.
Great writing. And so when Portia, the little poodle, picks up on Robert Sands barking, obviously Regina King wants to know what's back there. She walks into the garage. He's there. And I love the fact that though last time they were together, it was a crazy blowout, she still found upon herself to simply say she misses her husband,
Of course.
So when he tells her, listen, I now know what's going on. The reason why they were chasing Daniel Zappos is the reason why they're now chasing me. Where is, our son? Oh, no, even before that. Because Regina King's character is very much a conspiracy theorist. Like, she's
absolutely
really into the fact that the government is watching us. They are listening. Nothing is safe, yada, yada, yada. So when he's telling her, like, listen, you were right. I was wrong. The house is probably bugged. You're probably bugged. This whole shit is bugged. Right? And so even as crucial of timing this is right now, they have their makeup moment.
Right. She's wearing the
lingerie that he bought for her.
And then that's when he comes to a realization.
His son has the game that has the tape in it.
Right. Well, not only the game, but basically there was something that was dropped into the bag and he has to figure out what was in there. That's when he figures out that there was a game. And in doing so, he now hides in the maid's car and is able to kind of have this conversation with the son and finds out what the tape is. Now, the game isn't exactly working, but that's where he figures out he can use Brill once again and do so. So he marks it again, goes and he finds Brill once again, incredibly hostile, and they finally see what exactly was on the videotape. However, in the process of doing so, the first place that he decided to check out was Rachel Bain's apartment, where she has now been killed. And they were trying to plant the evidence as if he was the one that killed her by having his clothing that they had bugged previously all over his apartment. So it looked, again, these little subtle clues with this movie of how they were trying to develop a narrative with it is something that you see all the time. It's something that you don't always see now. So once he kind of figures everything out, once they kind of get over the fact that they lost Rachel.
Right. Which is a blow to both of them. We find out more about Rachel and Brill's relationship.
Right.
Really toward the end.
Right. But it was still a little touching because it's one of those things where it's like you find out that basically he was the daughter of his partner. Right. Basically. And in this process, they go to a gas station to figure out everything. And Will Smith makes a phone call and makes his phone call to one of the bug tapped lines. They're able to trace it to figure out where exactly in the gas station they are. And they actually have a shot of Brill at that point from the security camera in the gas station store. Now, this is another thing that I don't know if you've actually picked up on, but the picture that they actually used when they were searching in the database, that is a picture of Harry Call from The Conversation. That is Harry Call from The Conversation. So that is Gene Hackman's character in The Conversation, which once again was a Best Picture nominee. And that's why I said this is more of a sequel or even a super spiritual sequel for sure.
Gotcha.
But it's one of those things that's kind of like, it's kind of small little winks to the past, especially to a movie that already preceded this movie by almost 25 years at this point. So anyways, they basically go and they figure out that they're being followed. They blow up the building that Brill worked out of. And they kind of start to formulate a little bit of a plan, basically to get one of the other sides to talk. And the reason why is because they find out that once they try to recover the tape is destroyed. It's useless at this point. But they come up with a plan anyway.
Now, this plan to me was damn near foolproof. I mean, the way they decided to go after the Congressman Sam Albright and have his tape of his affairs.
Before getting into that, remember the original plan was to get him to admit something on their tape that they basically had.
Right.
That they were basically creating so that they could turn it into whoever needs it to be turned into and figure it out. Another callback to the conversation, by the way, Brill is having the conversation with Jon Voight's character, and he has plastic on his police hat and also on his jacket. That was something that Harry Call used to do in the conversation also. So once again, little small callbacks once again. So anyways, the plan fails. They both get captured, right? And they say, where's the tape? We want to know where the tape is. Somebody decides to record the conversation there that maybe I can't exactly remember what was the reasoning here, but they must have felt that they were in danger of some sort, or maybe they just wanted evidence of this or whatnot, right? And he admits on there of killing the congressman and so on and so forth. And that's when Robert Dean comes up with the brilliant idea of going all the way back to the mob boss, because the mob boss says that they have a week to tell me who has the tape, or I'm going to kill you and everything you ever love.
Right.
So he decides to come up with this brilliant plan. And in doing so, Robert's not really giving a lot of information, but everybody kind of goes in there, and there's this argument that's happening between the mob boss and and Jon Voight at this point.
So basically, overall, you have the mob boss, a meeting between the mob boss and the NSA.
Right.
Over a tape that either one of them don't know what tape they're referring to.
Right. Because the tape that the mob boss is referring to is the tape of him breaking his parole. The tape that Jon Voight's referring to is the one of him actually killing the congressman.
Dirty motherfuckers all the way around.
But they never come to the logical conclusion to actually say, well, what's on your tape? No, what's on your tape? And then they could have talked that out, and then Robert would have been, no. Egos came into play instead. And instead, somebody basically puts himself in a bad situation, a gun fires, and all hell breaks
loose. A full shootout begins.
Yep. Right. Robert hides underneath the table.
Jon Voight's character gets killed.
Everybody dies.
Everybody in that room dies.
There were only two people that actually survived that, and that was Jack Black's character and Seth Green's character. And this is where the very tail end of this movie. Now Robert goes back to his old life, and in doing so, they're kind of watching a video of some sort, or they're watching TV, and he's alone, and it winds up cutting to him appearing on the TV as he's watching TV. So he realizes he's still being watched, and come to find out it's Brill. And Brill is basically saying, wish you were here, whatever. And they kind of go off their own separate ways. And that's Enemy of the State.
And as simple as we just broke it down, the movie itself it seems so tight.
It does. It's definitely a 2-hour movie, but it definitely feels like there's not a lot of unnecessary scenes with this movie. A lot of the stuff is kind of a plot point that happened super early in the film.
It's very informative.
That decides to circle back to it. And that's Tony Scott, directing this in the vision that he had during that time.
Now, can a movie like Enemy of the State be redone?
Yes, and the reason why is because of what's happened now.
Right.
Because of the reality of the situation of what our own governments have now actually done to us. Absolutely. In fact, they've tried doing this in different formats, such as Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf.
Another underrated movie.
Yeah, it actually really is. And I've always been one of those guys that says that Shia LaBeouf is a heavily underrated actor if he wasn't so crazy. I'm serious. Watch him in Fury and tell me that he doesn't drive.
He's great in Fury. Great.
Tell me he doesn't drive it at certain points.
He also has a commercial. Just do it!
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, but that's inspirational to me.
Yes.
But yeah, can it be remade? Absolutely. Do you think so?
Yeah, Eagle Eye is a perfect example. I just feel as if the the cast, the directing, the lead, the chemistry between Smith and Hackman. It can be redone, but it would never be this tight and fresh.
It would require pretty special vision. And I do think there are directors out there that could really hit this kind of vision again. But because of the way that this movie, because of the time that this movie came out in, it can't ever have the same impact, basically.
Right. So let's go into takeaways. Who's going to get that guy award?
It's really tough to honestly, it's tough not to give it to Jon Voight, Gene Hackman, or Will Smith in this. I think I'm going to go ahead and give it to Will. He's the one that kind of has to have the clever character arc towards the end. He's the one that sets up the entire thing in the process. And even though he'd made a lot of mistakes early on, once he recognized the mistakes he was doing, he did everything possible to basically not have it again.
And, also with him, he has his comeuppance, his arc is probably the most, sincere because, he starts off very naive, afraid, not really know what the fuck is going on, what to do. He just knows that his world is really crashing down around him.
Right.
But yeah, I'll give you that. That chick award.
It's really a question of do you want to give it to Lisa Bonet or do you want to give it to Regina King? And I think I'm going to give it to Regina, only because she recognized at the end of the day that something was obviously wrong.
Right.
And this wasn't normal behavior. Even though she had her wife moments of kind of panicking and that, especially with the debit card situation, she kind of fell into her own belief that maybe, while it wasn't necessarily said, that maybe she felt like something was really, really going on. And when it was confirmed to her, she was like, I told you so.
Right. This full award.
Maybe Gabriel Byrne. I think if anything, if there is a cutout scene to that, unfortunately, I'd probably give it to Gabriel Byrne's character. There's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. He was a little panicky. He did pick up on a clue, obviously. One of the things, again, with this movie being really, really clever, Will Smith announces that he's Brill. He never actually confirms that he's actually Brill. He says, you must be Brill, huh? And Gene Hackman calls him out on that. He says, did you say that he was Brill?
Did he say you just picked up on it?
Right. And so once Will caught that on, that's what it was. But anyways, the only reason why I give him that full award is because I don't know where he was going.
Okay.
And there wasn't really any motivation for what he was doing. I didn't even know who he worked for at that point.
Let's go with cut that out.
Probably the Gabriel Byrne scene. In a movie that's so tight, you take a role of Byrne's talents, because Usual Suspects was right here as well, and I felt he was a little bit unnecessary. I actually felt like he could have sped up that entire thing. Iconic scene. This is tough because there's a lot of really good scenes on it, but probably the iconic scene for me is the rooftop talk. Where it's one of those things where it's like he's giving you a realization. Gene Hackman's giving the realization to actually do something about this. And Will Smith is just finally starting to figure out that there may actually be something there.
Now either you shoot me or tell me what the fuck is going on. Yeah,
exactly.
Love that part.
All right, you're that guy award.
I'm gonna say this is the best part of the first takeaways we've done where we're practically almost in the same boat with everything. That guy would definitely go to Will Smith as Robert Clayton Dean. Once again, he has the best arc as a guy who he's really just a lawyer. Next thing you know, he's gun toting. He's running for his life, and really, all this can happen within maybe 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really fast story if you think about it in terms of how long it takes everything.
Right.
I think max it had to be within a week for sure.
I'm sticking with 2 days. This everything goes down relatively fast.
Yeah. That chick award.
I was also like you. I was going to give it to Lisa Bonet, but as a strong wife, female character, Regina King, 100%. Because I have a friend who has a wife who's also a super big conspiracy theorist. So when she's in the room, oh, babe, I told you, Donald Trump used to sell coke to this person over here, and she'll throw out crazy things, but shit if it'll come out being true.
Right.
You know? So watching her go on this tangent about being watched, being heard and all that, it reminded me of her. And
I felt like Kev should have been on the show.
Kev should totally be on the show. Shout out to
Kev. That full award.
100% Gabriel Byrne. Why are you in this movie?
Right.
For what reason are you in this movie?
I can't quite figure it out.
For the last all of 3 minutes?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Right.
It was. I think his scene overall took up like 6 minutes tops.
And it's like, oh, there's no Brill is dead. Who the fuck are you then?
Right. Exactly. Cut that out.
I'm gonna stick with you. That Gabriel Byrne scene can really go.
It just
can really. I think it's used to officially bring in Brill, but we could have found a way different way to bring him in.
Agreed.
You're just not needed for this movie, dude.
Exactly.
You're just you're not needed at all. But whatever. I'm not Tony Scott. Whatever.
And finally, iconic scene. The rooftop scene is good.
The rooftop scene is good. I'm gonna do the lingerie store scene because you definitely see the shift in tone with that scene. Because prior to that, it was some testy moments, some heavy moments, but it was still kind of coasting along. By the time Clayton Robert Dean he's walking inside to that store to buy the lingerie, and it's kind of cutting back and forth between him being in the store and Daniel being chased by NSA. And by the time Robert Dean and Daniel link up, and he slips the tape into Robert's package, the whole tone just changed. And I was like, oh shit,
that's a great point.
Oh man, mind you, after he leaves the store, Daniel's dead.
Yeah,
he dies outside, and shit just goes
horribly. Actually,
horribly.
He gets hit by a fire truck.
Coming down the hill. Oh, God.
He even looked at it. He straight up, he glanced at it.
Coming down the hill. All right, so let's get into some quick hits so we can wrap this puppy up. Quick hits. Gene Hackman turned down the film several times, but was ultimately convinced to sign on after a phone call by director Tony Scott. Will Smith later signed on at a relative post-Independence Day bargain price because he wanted to work with Hackman.
Yeah, and it was an incredibly smart move.
And I think their chemistry was fantastic.
It was, and it's unfortunate that Hackman has decided to retire, but I respect his decision.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hackman always had this way to kind of be a memorable character. Like one of my favorite movies of his, The Replacements with Keanu.
I would say Get Shorty.
Yeah, no, Get Shorty's great.
Get Shorty's a great role for him.
Something about The Replacements and just like his chemistry with Keanu. Mm-hmm. Look, Keanu doesn't have the greatest chemistry with a lot of actors.
No.
But they had something there, and I think it was because Gene taught him how to act better in that.
Just keep it together. Will Smith improvised Dean's lines about buying the lingerie for himself to try cross-dressing on the weekends. Smith has said it was difficult to restrain his comedic instincts during a dramatic role. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you played Fresh Prince all that time.
And Bad Boys at the time was a comedy as well.
Bad Boys was 97?
95.
Wow, is that early? Wow.
Yeah, 95.
So 95. Independence Day was his breakout in 96. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Enemy of the State in 98. I think he had a movie in 97.
Yeah, he had a good run.
Yeah.
Oh, 97 was Men in Black. First Men in Black.
Men in Black. And then 99 would have been Wild Wild West.
Correct. And so that was the Big Willie weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tom Cruise was originally signed on to star in this film, but had to turn it down because he was still filming Eyes Wide Shut.
All right, that's tough because Eyes Wide Shut was directed by Stanley Kubrick.
His final film.
Right. And it's not that good of a movie.
At all.
So it's one of those things where it's like, can you imagine Because I think he would have done phenomenal in this movie also.
Tom Cruise. He would have ran faster.
He would still be running.
Like, do you have a visual? No, he's fucking gone, dude. He's been out of here. Sir Sean Connery was considered for the role of Edward Brill Lyle.
Did you notice that like Sean Connery turned down a lot of really
stuff.
great strong roles? Like he was going to play Gandalf at one point. He basically made like the Avengers over something else. He made League of Extraordinary Gentlemen over something else. He just, the end of his career, I really wish I was his manager. So I could be like, no, this is what you need to play.
And you can't leave.
Exactly.
Don Simpson and Jay Bruckheimer began developing the story for the film in 1991.
I mean, it's a Simpson. It even has a Simpson Bruckheimer backdrop.
And rest in peace to Don Simpson.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, he died shortly before this movie came out.
Yes, because he what movie came after this? The first movie to have just Jerry Bruckheimer on there was, I want to say it was Gone in 60 Seconds.
I think you're right.
I believe so. Mel Gibson was considered for the role of Robert Clayton Dean.
Everybody was considered for this. I'm serious. There really wasn't an actor that wasn't tied to that role.
Will Smith turned down a role in another conspiracy thriller, Snake Eyes, to star in this film.
Right, and Nick Cage took that one, and that's an awful movie.
Good looking for Will Smith, I'll tell you that much. And last but not least, Gene Hackman. I'm sorry, let's do it again. Will Smith and Jon Voight would later appear in and score Oscar nominations for Ali in 2001. And I didn't even make the damn connection until like, oh yeah, they were in Ali together.
I don't even remember Jon Voight in that.
Howard Cosell.
Okay. Yep. All right. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think I've only seen Ali once.
What? Oh, I've seen Ali multiple times. It's great. One of my favorite Will Smith movies for sure.
Oh, it's definitely probably the best job he ever did.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Outside of Pursuit of Happiness, where he makes me cry.
Yeah, but that movie's unfair.
Because it makes you cry. Well, that's the show. Well, I love doing this shit. This is so fucking dope, man. Next week we will have a guest on. We're taking it back. I think it's a proper time to actually do this particular movie because this shit bleeds nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like us as children, you know. But we won't say anything now. We'll see you guys next week. We have nothing to announce this week.
No, nothing yet.
Nothing yet?
We are in the process of big development coming through December, but that's not going to happen right now.
Well, with that being said, my guy, Danger Neff, where can they find you?
You can always find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at David Danger Neff. I am the co-host here at Back to the Classics. I'm also the co-host for Reel It Back, which we're working out some technical difficulties.
Few bugs.
The
NSA's watching.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. Somebody's watching me. Anyways.
We should totally play that on the way up, by the way. Hold on.
You can always chat with me over on Facebook. I'm literally on it all the time at this point. We are definitely moving up and forward. We are hoping you guys are having a wonderful holiday season.
Oh yeah, I mean this is the time of family.
We're smack dab in the middle of it, and I'm kind of happy about that.
Absolutely, it brings out the joy of most of us.
Yeah, it really does. My co-host Jay Alonzo. Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me simply at all the so here we go. You can find me on all the social medias, simply at I am Jay Alonzo. You talk to me and I'll talk back. We're talking Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Of course, the Back to the Classics Movie Talk page is up and popping. Go ahead, jump on there and join the conversation. Yeah, like David said, we got some stuff developing. We got some new shows we're gonna be rolling out pretty soon. Some of which I have written and produced along with Lois, and Dave himself has something popping up himself. Can't freaking wait to announce that with you guys. Besides that, as always, we love you guys. We love that you guys tune in with us every week. Forever grateful. And like Dave said, enjoy this beautiful holiday season. And with that being said, are we queued up, ready to go?
I think we're queued up.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the way out, this is Back to the Classics. We'll see y'all next week. Peace. 99 Cent Thriller. Let's go.
Watching me.
DJ DJ Khaled.